Welcome, friends. This is the REL 6 and 7 Div Preview, Week 7. We are going to be looking at teams today. We did match reviews last week, and by last week, I mean 2 weeks ago. So, because it was the holiday season, so this round was 2 weeks for REL, so we decided to make our cycle 2 weeks as well. I think my camera is frozen on you now. No, we're good.
No, we're good.
Never mind. Yeah, so forgive us if things aren't fresh in our minds, because it has been 2 weeks since we looked at these teams and stuff. It's been 3 weeks since we've looked at them in detail. It's been 2 weeks since we've sort of thought about these divisions, so feel free, please give us a little bit of a break if we get anything terribly wrong. Do we have anything to mention, other than that we're back on our sort of regular weekly schedule now? YouTube will be roughly the day after the stream, and the streams are probably going to be on Tuesdays.
Yeah, my camera is frozen in an unflattering position.
Excellent. So shall we just jump into things, I guess?
Yeah. Let's look at the results from last week.
Duel game. Here we go. So this is Div 6, and we're going to take a look at some results from last week. So we had, this was a concede, so we don't really need to look at that.
No, we do, because it
right.
was a real game.
Oh,
so
it was a legal concede. Right.
No, it wasn't. JJ
No.
Cash lost power.
Oh, okay.
But it was turn 14, and the Undead were very likely to score. So this is a legal win for the Undead.
Do we still count it in our scores? Because it can. Well, I guess it was going to be a legal win for the Undead, right?
Well, yes. So we lose points because we predicted the humans would be in.
We both predicted the humans. Okay, well, not very many blocks for a game that went that long. 19 and 14.
Humans playing, well, they're really agile humans, so think of it kind of like an elf match.
I suppose that makes a bit of sense. Probably not very many blocks occurring. But the Undead taking that down through a concede, but a legal one, as we've discussed. Only one casualty, but 3 KOs sustained, so despite the few blocks, we still managed to remove some humans, and that may have explained that.
Yeah. It's kind of spiraled out of control a bit, maybe.
We have the Common Nightmares and First and Forsaken Lions. So we predicted the Necro would win this one, and they did. And that was mostly on the back of the fact that this High Elf team has been, absolutely wrecked by the first few weeks of the season, because they played all of their hard matchups initially and took a lot of damage. So they were in rough shape for this game against the Necro, but they should be good now as long as they didn't take too much this game, and they did. 3 casualties.
3 cats. Hopefully none of them were bad, but
if those are all badly hurts, they're probably in pretty good shape for their next week. But that's what we expected for this game. You know, that they were missing some players, so the Necro were going to be able to take that down without too much difficulty. Then Wood United and Greenskin Brawlers. So we had predicted Orcs here, and it was a tie.
And it looks like the Orcs did nearly pitch clear the Wood Elves, but the Wood Elves managed to hold on and tie it up 2-2. Lots of SPP on both sides.
Yeah, as long as there's an elf left, as Wood Elves, even against Orcs, or especially against Orcs, I guess, there's a chance of tying or winning. So all you really need is 2.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably what happened here with, especially with players like Putt Putt, the movement 9 catcher, getting MVP. I imagine he probably deserved it.
Yeah, just flipping through things. It seems like the Wood Elves held up remarkably well, actually. Did better than expected on their armor.
Well, looks like the Orcs had the ball in control for the vast majority of the time, and the Elves just happened to sneak in quick 2 turns, basically, is what I'm seeing here. And if they can fit in 2 turns well enough to match up with the Orcs, then at least they're not losing. And that's probably, I think this was probably a case of try not to lose for the Wood Elves, and it worked out for them, rather than try to win.
Yeah, exactly.
And it worked out, so well done to Luke and Wood United. We had, wait. Oh, I don't remember this scenario here because we don't have a prediction written down for Orcs versus Chorfs, do we?
Nope.
Nope. So
Must have already been played, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember the results here. Like we said, 2 weeks since we've done a review, so it's not exactly fresh. This must have already been played before we did predictions last time, perhaps.
Yep, Orcs pummeling the crap out of the Chorfs. 23 armor breaks to 5. Doesn't feel good.
No, if I recall correctly, those Chorfs aren't the ones that have crazy amounts of claw, and this is the like strength 5 strip ball break tackle blitzer orc team, which is kind of rough for Chorfs to deal with. But yeah, 50 like this looks like one of those games where the orcs out controlled certainly over the like they outbashed, I guess, but I imagine those blocks came from having more players basically and being able to force your opponent into taking blocks, because once Chorfs get sort of based up, they can't really leave.
Yep, and they got nearly pitch cleared for it. 5 KOs, 4 calves.
Yeah, yeah. If the Chorf blockers get kind of stuck apart from each other on black orcs and stuff, then they just kind of get crunched. They're going to take blocks every turn, and they can't really get away or do much about it. So I imagine that's probably what happened there. And this is a really scary looking orc team, as we'll see when we come to it. So not particularly surprising there. We have Hausdorf Homewreckers versus Another Bloody Bell. We predicted Chorfs. Both of us did. We agreed on everything in Div 6, actually.
We did.
And Chorfs did win this one. Mandelbrot, the killer, pulling down MVP to level him. 15 SPP for that guy in this game. That one
Jesus.
Chorf earned 15 SPP.
7 KOs, 7 injuries for the Chorfs.
Yep, that's sort of how we expected this to go, I imagine, right? Like,
though they didn't get away with it for free. The Rats turning around and handing out 3 KOs, 4 casualties, and
a death. Yeah, you cut off a bit there, but yeah. Yeah, didn't get away with it for free, but Mandelbrot, like, did work, man. We'll see what he got later, because he leveled. But I've never seen 15 SPP for one player in a game before. That's insane. 10 of that...
10 of that was actually earned, yeah.
Yeah, 5 casualties? Like, or some... I doubt he scored. He's AG1. He's AG1 in Movement 4. So that's 5 Kaz just from him, but he is piling on Mighty Blow, Claw, Tackle, Block. Like, he's pretty well designed for murder. There's not much else he could use. So that's not surprising, but the Chorfs just ripping apart the Rats, which is kind of what we expected to happen. As long as some of those casualties aren't permanents on good players, then the Rats are happy they got out of that. But that's really what we expected, is the Rats to get torn apart, I think.
Yep, and then we have Rumblebee versus Lizards, and the Lizards won. That game happened just a few minutes.
Did it? Well, we predicted Lizards, and the Lizards did win. Scaled Measures took it down over Starry Fight. Let's see. 60 blocks for the Lizards on the Dwarves. The Dwarves look like they just got shoved around, I think.
Yep, Dwarves do tend to take a lot of hits versus Lizards. They do need to get up in their face generally to get anything done, so...
With Allosaurus.
The problem inevitably is that Lizards outstrength you, so like letting it devolve into a scrum isn't as beneficial as it usually is because of that strength 4.
Yeah, it depends on how much guard exists on both sides, right? If there's no guard for the Saurus, then the Dwarves have a good shot at it, but...
This is also the Lizard team with 4 strength 5 players.
Yeah, that's basically why we predicted this one. Like, they just outstrength the Dwarves so hard, and the Dwarves aren't gonna win that if they take any sort of damage, or if they just get shoved around, and the Lizards are gonna out-control it way better than the Orcs are, or the Dwarves are.
Yeah, the Lizards don't need to cause damage in that matchup. They just need to knock you.
But the Dwarves do, and it's hard to against Armor 9 without Claw.
Not wrong.
And then the Wayside Warmongers and Snake Kitties. So this is humans versus lizards. We both predicted the lizards, and we were both wrong. So we're not doing too well. We're not doing too well as a whole. Positive
in this div.
We're as in the negative as of overall, though. Not by very much. So we predicted the lizards to take this one, and the humans did. This is Phil's team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very, very agi heavy sort of human team as well. Both human teams in this div are.
It was more agile when the thrower was agi 4.
Yeah, so if they manage to sort of like elf the lizards, then that's a reasonable thing that they could do to win this. Yeah, 3 passes, 3 catches.
They punched them, or like at least held kept toe to toe with them.
I think, yeah, well, they kept toe to toe with them and then elfed them on top of that with a couple passes and stuff.
And removed them. They got 3 KOs and 4 injuries to the Lizards, 2 and 1, which speaks to perhaps.
Yeah, that's unexpected, really. You'd think the this is kind of a bit of an underdeveloped Lizard team. They don't have a ton of stuff on the Saurus.
Yeah, it just looks like some really unkind injury dice.
Yeah.
They got 7 removals on 13 armor breaks.
Double blitz kickoff event, so that would probably help.
Yeah, doesn't
according to Phil in the chat.
Yeah, fun game.
Yeah, looks like that's a lot of SPP for the Wayside Warmongers as well. So they're pleased. That's a good win for them. I think they needed that one.
And after that week, we see the Greenskin Brawlers from Professor Chaos on top at 4-2-0. Right behind them is Not Nihilok Scaled Measures 4-1-1, and then Dashutenheim's Orcsploitation Cinema at 4-0-2, and then everyone else kind of not too far behind. Really, It's pretty close.
So there's sort of a three-man race for the top, although Professor Chaos is pulling away a little bit with his lack of losses, and there's a sort of a 3-person middle group there with Common Nightmares, Hausdorff Homewreckers, and Boss Hog Outlaws with 3 wins apiece, and then it kind of falls off from there. It was a big win for Phil. He was before that match, his record was 1-0-4, so grabbing another one there helps a lot. To put him up to 2 in that 2-win sort of pack. So he has a chance of catching up here, depending on what his next weeks look like. But Professor Chaos getting ready to run away with this division. Another win or 2 under his belt, and he probably has this one, so we'll see. Oops, didn't mean to back out. Shall we look at teams?
Yes.
Well, Wayside Warmongers. After that game, this is what Phil's team looks like.
Drew Tossley still makes me sad, but he's a great player, so it's fine.
Yeah, plus Agi, minus Agi, certainly unfortunate, but he's still a strength 5 piece.
Wonder Jr. has picked up block. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That's new as he's at 32 SPP.
Yeah, block ogre. Block big guys in general are really big. You just feel so much better with... sometimes when you have those turns where it's like, well, I need to block this guy off, and it's hard to do unless I use the big guy. But it's always scary to try to do that, especially to start your turn.
Yeah, and like ogres, much like Proxigors, are kind of like pretty serious value for their team. They kind of do a lot of what the team is already trying.
Yeah, block makes
so increasing reliability for them is a big deal. Yeah, kind of the story of the two remaining blitzers, as Wilbert Wonder and Wilson Wonder are vastly outdeveloped the brand new Son of Woodson and Son of William.
Yep. They need
not a generous first 2 games for these 2 players. One has played 3, one has played 1. Hard to get SPP on rookie blitzers when everyone else is kind of busy. Like you're never going to be blitzing with them, so it's really when you're in control of a game and you can do a handoff to them, or you get a lucky Kaz.
Yeah, they're movement 7, so they're not terrible ball runners, especially since they have block. But he's probably going to want to hold on to it through Tossley for the most part, and then hand off or pass to a blitzer to score with, and then with the Agi 3, that's less tempting to do. But with the strength 5, he's still and movement 7, he's such a good runner. Like, he's just so hard to get the ball off of.
Yep. Derek Dashing has picked up Blodge Agi 4, pretty damn good. Basically makes him a Wood Elf catcher. He's a bit slower. No, they're movement
8. Mm-hmm. Yep, he's a Wood Elf catcher now, but he's had to take 2 skills to do it, but still very good. Wow. Really good receiver.
He's a Wood Elf catcher. He was a Wood Elf catcher after the Agi up, technically.
I suppose that's true. A really good receiver to go along with through Tossley, but the Agi bust being sad. I think the kick is relatively new on Benjamin Bigsby as well. Kick is just a good skill to have, especially on linemen. When you can have a ton on teams with a lot of positionals, it can be hard to fit it in, but with humans, you tend to have a lot of linemen. So.
Yep, I'd look to fire Marshall McKenzie. You don't want your line fodder being AB busted. It's just not worth it. And the Niggle lineman of Nosebleed should also get the boot. I'd rather play with.
Yeah, they're going to be on the line anyway. And then Scaled Measures and Not Nihilok. This team is gross. Moving on.
Too many stats. Cloghard, Tiny Arms. Is he okay? No, he's just MNG.
Tiny Arms.
Is he missing something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is he missing a Saurus?
Kermit Jafrog, I think, has picked up Sprint now because he's at 51. So That's likely a new skill. So he's going the serious one-turner route with catch plus movement, sprint and sure feet. Very, very good like almost natural one-turner there. Needs one more movement, but that's
pretty easy to get. Yeah.
Well, it's if you roll it, it's you're praying for it. But even then,
Oh no, I meant like a push.
On
the
LOS. Easy to get a push in the LOS, and yeah, you can take like sidestep or something if your next skill if you don't get the movement. But because he's gonna ideally never be on the field, you don't really want to use him on defense. He's strength 1.
He's pretty bad.
He's gonna be very protected. So you only really bother taking offensive skills on him. I don't think diving tackle or anything like that is a good idea.
I think the pro is not new, so yeah, everything else is looking about the same. So
I think the guard on Ankylosaurus Andy is new because that's 51 SPP as well.
And that is a good player to get guard on.
Yeah, strength and block. He is leader as well, but now he's not likely to. That was one of the players he bought. He was like a leader block source.
And then he got strength and guard, so that's fine.
Yeah, the guard is a really good pickup on the strength piece. It's just guard strength 5, very difficult to shift, and it's very annoying when you have to try to shift that guard before doing anything. Anything else newish? I don't think so. Potentially the guard on yellow, but I don't think that's new.
No, I don't think so. And then we have Hausdorff's Home Wreckers by randomest names.
Yeah, so we had Mandelbrot picked up Stand Firm after his 10 or 15 SPP game last game. Makes sense if he didn't roll anything crazy. He's already got what other strength skill could you possibly want there? And he's got, if he didn't roll doubles or anything.
This is a hell of a developed team. 2 Claw Bombers.
Mm-hmm.
One was Stand Firm, which isn't that relevant. We've cut Menger, the ever-battered stat bust Pinata, apparently. And then the rest are all like a smattering of Guard and Mighty Blow. So yeah, really, really solid blockers. Both Bull Centaurs are just the most developed.
This is not a fun. I've played this Chorf team before, I think, and it's not fun.
Did I play them? Well, they were in our div last season, right? I played them.
I think so.
This is the game where I failed like 4 or 5 3+ pickups in a row to lose the game.
Yeah, this was our div last season. So they beat you, and can't find the match against me. They probably beat me too, if I recall correctly. No, we tied. Oh, right. This is the one we tied from the nonsense, like one of the nonsense plays, I think, right?
Yep. And then, so yeah, both bulls are looking good. I would like one of these bulls to have tackle. Probably the break tackle jump up Mighty Blow one. The jump up is weird, but I guess he makes him like impossible to count out of the game.
He's always movement 9, sort of regardless.
Yeah, it sometimes feels weird picking up tackle on a team that starts with 6 natural tackle players, but you really need the high movement sacker, I think. Chorf blockers can't always get to the ball.
Yeah, so there's a reason why dwarf blitzers will often take tackle as well, despite there being tackle on literally all the other players.
And they're only 1 movement faster than the...
Yeah, and it's worth it there, so it's probably worth it on the blitzing bull centaur. And yeah, then we have a ball carrying one. Lodge, sure hands, stand firm, break tackle, very frustrating. The only thing he really wants is agi, so in 71 SPP, we'll pray for that, I guess.
I'd also take strength.
Yeah, or movement maybe, but...
I'd take movement, yeah. Any stat up other than
armor.
AV. And I mean, AV would just be movement, so...
Yep. I don't think there's anything new down in the hobgoblins, but yeah.
No, looks pretty standard.
This bull centaur is... I don't think we've seen a legend bull centaur before, and he's very close to it.
We must have. Like, it's the sort of player that all should have hit legend. Somewhere on the...
There's a surprisingly few number of legend players, because people often reroll. Then we have Das Schuttenheim's Orcsploitation Cinema has cracked the 2K TV mark.
And you can see why.
Yeah, with a gross thrower and a gross blitzer. Yeah. Is
he double niggled or just single niggled?
I think he's just single niggled.
He's just single, yeah.
But he's also strength 5.
In general.
Yep.
Looks like Michael Chorfs has picked up diving tackle. How do I feel about diving tackle on that? I don't love it. I get what you're going for, but I think you need your strength 4 players to be standing. And on top of that, like, it's just harder to take advantage of, I feel like, on Black Orcs. It's not bad.
You see that a lot with players like Orcs and Chaos and Nurgle and stuff. When people roll doubles on their like strength 4 guys, they'll take diving tackle, mostly because the dodge doesn't really help them very much, and what other agi skill is there that's useful? Like that's I think that's probably the rationale. I don't really like it either, mostly because I agree. I think that you should have your strength 4 on his feet. Once he's also movement 4, so if he does go to the ground, he's really slow to reposition. But diving tackle is a good skill. So I mean, if you're willing to play that way, then that's fine.
On dwarf lineman, and I don't love it elsewhere. But still, hopefully it works out for him. Other than that, it's a great looking orc team.
Guard on I think he's got guard on reorc Roundtree relatively recently as well.
Looks like it, yeah.
Yep. So that's a rounding out guard everywhere, basically, on the Black Orcs, which is kind of what you want, because your blitzers have gone the route of blitzers rather than mobile guard pieces. There is Git Lee being the stationary movement, like sort of guard piece. Use blodge, stand firm, tackle, very annoying. But both Leorc Neeson and Jesse Run 3 are pretty have gone the blitzing route.
Yep, one went sacking and one is gone killing. I don't love having your only killer. So the biggest problem I have with this currently is that you have one Mighty Blow piece that is like more than movement 4, and it has Frenzy. The problem with that is that when you want to do like early blitzes in the game, you're committing to a Frenzy blitz, which can be, leading you up into like being blocked the next turn, making a dodge, getting a Frenzy trap, all sorts of problems. So I don't like having no killer access that doesn't have Frenzy.
I mean, yeah, I agree, but I also think that's mostly like a nice to have. Like this orc team is so good with all that like strength 4 guard block everywhere. The blitzer and the thrower being so incredible helps a lot too. Like you don't necessarily he's going to be able to win games, and definitely has, without the like Mighty Blow spam that you see. But it's something that would make it better. But this arc team is already really good, So it's not like a major criticism, I think, but it's something that would make the team better.
I think Clint Orcs would wanted Mighty Blow over guard. You have 4 tackle. It's on tackling literally every blitzer.
You can never have enough guard.
Tackle. No, I said instead of tackle, you fucking ape.
Yeah, I think he has.
You can definitely have too much tackle, and I think 4 tackle on your 4 movement players is a bit too much.
It depends on what order they came in and that sort of thing. But that tackle is probably relatively recent, so yeah, maybe Mighty Blow instead. But other than that, this orc team is gross, and I wouldn't want to play it. There's like Leorc Neeson and Demi-Mork are abominations that need to be killed.
My namesake has picked up Fend.
Awesome.
I assume just to troll me.
It's a good line orc. It's a good line.
Take block. He's an AV9. Who gives a shit if they follow him?
The annoyance of Bretonnian
having
peasants.
it turned on manual. Yeah.
Hey, there are very few situations in which it could be handy to not fend, and for the most part, people will just not follow if you say don't fend. Because then they know that you want them to follow, but it can be like a weird thing. Sometimes people click it accidentally or whatever.
Yeah.
Wood United? They took a bunch of injuries in the last game, but they're all here, so they must have all been badly hurt. So thankfully for Luke that worked out. Got block relatively recently on Plywood, I think. Probably.
I think Windsurfer's Agi is recent as well.
Yep. And probably the sidestep on Luck's Beautiful Leaf, which
pretty standard catcher development.
Yep, you've got if they're not going for 1-turns or sackers, if you happen to roll good rolls on them or whatever, the sort of standard is block, sidestep, and then some combination of sure feet or whatever. But like blodge step is very annoying.
Yeah, I don't love sure feet on a team that already has a movement 9 catcher.
I think maybe diving tackle would have been a good option.
Tackle. That's my first thought. Other than that, yeah, looking good. I don't love the plus movement lineman either, but I think I've talked about that before.
Putt. I think he had guard before, but that's a really good guard piece.
That's a player he bought, I believe.
I don't think he had guard at the time, but he rolled it, which is really good. Yeah, Agi 5 War Dancers can do silly things with now, because now your leaps are 2+. It makes it pretty easy to like recover balls and pass them and stuff, as we've seen. Like there are many memes about Agi 5 War Dancers doing Agi 5 War Dancer things. That's incredible.
Like dying.
Yeah, that too. And then you have the standard sort of strip ball War Dancer. He'll be good as well. And then the tree. I don't think there's anything new there either, but this is it's a pretty standard elf team in that it has a whole bunch of stat ups, but like it's a good elf team certainly, and it's a high TV elf team, which is not something that you see very often, especially in a div that's this punchy. So well done to Luke for developing that. And then
Together,
yeah, Common Nightmares and Harry Koo.
Another team that's taken a bit of a beating, has a new werewolf, has already gotten it to 11 SPP, which is nice. I think
to
it's
pick
only
up
been
block.
around for, 4 games to get 11 SPP means he's doing a good job of feeding it SPP probably, unless it's been getting MVPs like that.
Yep, and he's gonna pray for a doubles on his next one, but you know, on average he should have it within 2 levels, but that's doesn't always work. Let's see. Anything else new? Mighty Blow on the white, I think, is new, which is sorely needed without having the Blitzer werewolves, especially since he already had guard. That gives him 2 Mighty Blow and 3 guard available, which is pretty decent. Just needs some development on those werewolves still, I think.
Yep, still kind of a Necro team that's on the edge of being pretty good. If Chased Through the Night can roll Mighty Blow, he'll be in a much better place. I think turning crawling insects into a Zacker makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
And grabbing
Wrestle
guard
next, yeah.
Other than that, it's looking pretty good. It's still like kind of outclassed in this division, but I think it's starting to really.
Yeah, the loss of the werewolf is unfortunate, but he's got a lot of a good solid base to work from. Certainly, like 1 or 2 more skills, and like I would just want wrestle on that ghoul and Mighty Blow on that werewolf, and then this team is like done.
Yep, and then we have 3 cash, 3 crew revengeing from JJ Cash.
Another human team with a lot of stats and also high TV.
Yeah, very high TV. 1940.
And a lot of high TV in REL 6.
A lot of stat busts. Not a lot of them are too relevant. 2 movement busts and an Agi bust. The Agi bust in the Ogre is entirely irrelevant for the most part. You don't do a lot of dodging. I don't see a lot of new things. Glover is so close to Legend.
Yep.
21 SPP.
We might see a Legend catcher by the end of the season. What would you take on him if?
As a capstone talent, nothing. Fen? No, because you want to stick. Because you're. Jesus, I don't even know. I need to look at the skill list, but I don't think it's anything too exciting.
Yeah, I think you pray for a stat for the most part, and if you don't get one, then your decision is a lot less relevant. Doubles maybe for guard could be pretty good.
Yeah, guard would be great.
But if you don't roll doubles or a stat, then it's pretty up in the air. I mean, leap on Agi 4 is not terrible.
Always leap. I don't know. He's already got an Agi 5 leaper though, so he doesn't need it.
That's true. I mean, you could always, it's not. I mean, you could always just go, shore feet or sprint or something. But it's not. It's like your last skill, unless you roll a double or a stat, isn't particularly exciting. I think. I think block is new on Payday, the other catcher, so another blodge piece. 10 more SPP to be blodge step and be very annoying. Blodge step makes them so much more useful and resilient, being strength 2. Sort of until then, they're kind of enormous targets.
Tackling on jingling is probably new. Interesting. I don't know what he's doing with this player. He's got a lot of like block tackle players, and I think he needed maybe a wrestle tackler if he was going for like to turn jingling into kind of a disposable sacker as like a more agile, harder to pin down kind of type. I think I would have liked him to be wrestle tackle. Would have kind of like made him fill a niche that this team doesn't really currently have a way to do. Yeah, but like it's fine. Other than that, everything else looks pretty standard. Blitzers are obviously tall, as it tends to happen on human teams. They get a lot of the development.
Yeah, we got the another Agi piece there. So he's got a lot of, at least he has a lot of Agi options for
The Agi5 Blitzer has a lot of people to throw to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's got a lot of receiving options for the Agi5 Blitzer to throw to. He is kind of dedicating one of his 4 strength access players to being a ball carrier rather than having like a thrower, which is like I would do it because Agi5 is ludicrous. Certainly, it's just unfortunate that he's missing out sort of on one of his natural guard access. So getting guard on a lineman somewhere would certainly be really handy, but having it on at least all of the other 3 blitzers makes up for that sum, and the ogre as well. So that's the only downside to that. I mean, you absolutely take it, because when you roll stats like that, you take them. It's just basically you sacrifice a positional, right? One of your...
Yeah, it's a bit tough. Through Tossley is a much better player to have those stats stacked up on.
Yeah, but he's Agi busted now.
Not in my dreams, he isn't. I mean, First and Forsaken Lions by Arcade Blaze. This is the Helf team that's been taking a bit of a punching.
They seem to be okay now, though, so that must have been mostly badly hurt from the last game as well. So if I recall correctly, they're done most of their crazy like Chorf games and Dwarf games and that kind of stuff, so they should have a bit of an easier time going forward, and they seem to have survived it pretty well.
Rolled some stats in the meantime.
Yeah, Silver Raven picking up strength to be guard strength, which is incredible on an elf team.
To have a strength 4 Agi 4 strength piece, or guard piece, I should say. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that helps.
Amethyst Rising, I believe, is also picked up Agi, which is new. And on Blodge Strip Ball, that's pretty...
Yeah, the guard strength helps so much in every matchup, really. Like the strength in guard helps in the bash matchups. The strength in guard helps you try to punch the elf matchups a bit better, because you're gonna get out elfed by you're slower than the other elves, so being able to punch them is really handy. Wrestle on that lineman gives you a wrestle dodge player, which is pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, the Agi on the strip ball is definitely new, so that's exciting.
Does leave him now. He's still got the 2 Blodge strip ball pieces, which I think is a little strange. One of them should be tackle.
Yeah, there's not any tackle on this team, and I think having tackle somewhere would be useful. Although, to be fair, he's played entirely bash matchups so far, so the tackle wouldn't have been that helpful, but in general, you're gonna want it somewhere, and you're probably gonna want it in the coming weeks as well.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's a lot of value in having 2 strip pieces. I think it's float, so. And
I think the kickoff return is pretty new as well, which I agree with, honestly, because high elves are slow. Like, that's a movement 6 elf, which is not something you see very often on a positional. It helps you get to the ball a lot easier, and then you can do that sort of high elf, especially with the safe throw, pass, strong arm, agi. It really helps with the high elf plan of rush people forward and just pull the thrower back really far physically out of everyone's range, and then just long bomb it later.
He does have, yeah. I mean, if he rolls accurate, or if he takes accurate in that next level, which might have been a consideration. Before kickoff return, but I guess he's already Agi 5 and
strong arm.
+1. So he's he's throwing passes as if he's Agi 6. So that is what, a 3+ long bomb with a built-in reroll?
I think so, and it's also safe throw, meaning it can't be intercepted. And if you fumble it, you don't fumble; you just hold on to it.
Only if you don't roll a 1. But
yeah. Yes. So like it's definitely helped. The kickoff return helps you get towards that ball and save way more movement for making sure you're safe, and then dumping catchers in the end zone.
Well, it's not that it can't be intercepted, just so we're clear. It's less likely to be intercepted.
Okay, well, yes.
But yeah, looking a lot better.
I want to watch I want to watch this team. I don't think we have.
Yeah, we should check them out.
I want to see that thrower.
See him in action.
Yeah.
Then we have the Greenskin Brawlers from Professor Chaos, top of the division.
Currently number 1. Yep. Let's see. Looks like we've got some new guard on these Black Orcs potentially, and that's.
You just cut out.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I punched my mic a bit. Yeah, filling out the block guard complement on the Black Orcs is going to make such a big difference. Like, your whole team is blocked now. Every block guard Black Orc you get is such a huge power spike as Orcs. Being up to 3 now makes a pretty big difference. This is a lot more of a standard team than we've seen in this division so far. No crazy stat ups. There's only 1.
Not stat freaks. So bizarre.
And everything's pretty normal, right? block guard black orc, block guard black orc, block guard black orc. Then you have like your killer blitzer with mighty blow piling on tackle pro. You got like your stand firm sort of support blitzer. You got another blitzer who happened to roll strength, and then the other one is also picked up guard as well. Like it's a very standard orc team, but as you could, things are standard for a reason, right? Like they're good, and he's top of the division, so
yeah, he's doing good things with it.
Standard is standard for a reason.
Yep, and then we have Vulpus and Kulta's way more fair Chorf team with no claw. Best Chorfs.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this when we were looking at the results, is that, you know, he didn't do a ton of damage against the lizards, but he just doesn't have claw, so that was probably not going to happen.
Yep.
Anything new? Let's see. Probably some new skills amongst those Chorf blockers there, but there's nothing surprising. It's sort of take guard and mighty blow and stand firm in some combination until one of them rolls doubles.
Yeah, he's been forced to recycle 2 Chorf blockers recently. I think both suffered serious injuries. One has played 2 games, and the other has played only 13. Gotten 4 SPP in 13 games, Chorf life. So yeah, he's kind of still looking to fish for those claw to get the the all-important Chorf killer online. Right now he's kind of just playing like Dwarves with some faster pieces.
Speaking of tackle and bull centaurs, I think we've got one here that's probably new.
Yeah, we do.
And I like that. Both his bull centaurs are used for blitzing and supporting, like, so probably guard maybe next on 0, because he ball carries on a hobgoblin. Little O is the sure hands block kickoff return hobgoblin. So with both those bull
go
centaurs,
guard and then mighty blow probably. It's nice to have the mobile punch for the bull centaurs. You need to do it sometimes. People will stand their back line and the rule of 5 out of range of Chorf blockers because it's only movement 4, so it's pretty easy to do.
And then a wrestle hobgoblin, but I don't think that's new.
Nope. And is really good looking team. Needs some dirty player. Chorfs love to give people a good kick, but I'm sure he'll pick some up soon on one of the next hobgoblins to level.
Yeah, the thing that this Chorf team really needs is claw somewhere. Until then, they're gonna get in the crazy bash matchups, they'll probably get outbashed a bit because they don't have the removal potential. But
yeah, they're like slightly worse dwarves.
REBBL Yell with a REBBL Yell, Jasposaurus Rex. We got some undead. They took down somebody that we didn't expect this week. Humans. We expected the humans to take this. So let's see. We've probably got a bunch of new skills here too. It looks like Billy Idol has picked up tackle, which is great. So for blitzing, and Sammy Hagar has picked up a movement bust and a guard. One of those is bad and one of those is good.
I'm not sure if you have the movement bust already, but yeah, the guard is obviously nice. It's good to have the support options available. I don't love taking it on the piling on piece necessarily.
I think he just needed to have the guard, honestly.
Yeah, but I think I would have flipped those 2 skills.
Depends
right?
on what order the levels came in. If you're playing like he was playing humans next.
He might have he might have desperately needed it for one match and then leveled the other the next. Yeah, could have.
We've got an Agi Sure Hands Blodgeghoul, which is a great ball carrier. And
it is indeed.
Let's see, anything else? Block on a zombie, I think. Block on a couple zombies is pretty new. And I think this is a newish mummy, being 0 SPP, which is unfortunate. He's played 2 matches, so newish. But yeah, no SPP on him, which is unfortunate. The Undead really want to grab guard on their mummies so they can dedicate their whites to the piling on Mighty Blow tackle sort of thing. So he kind of had to take guard on Hagar, having lost it on one of his mummies, I think.
Yep. Got lots of block, lots of dirty player. Good for like kicking folks when they're down. I think after Cliff Burton levels, I would look to recycle Wayne's static. I don't think the catch piece is really offering you that much value.
No, and Cliff Burton probably wants to be wrestle, I think, and then wrestle tackle, and then to be like the sacker, and then it's a really good undead team.
It is indeed.
Well,
standard.
This is a Skaven team that got crunched last game, so we'll see how they fare. Only 2 out for the next one, but one of them is a Storm Vermin, and it's the Mighty Blow Guard Storm Vermin.
Oh,
which is unfortunate.
Have you noticed yet?
Yeah, he took plus armor.
No.
What am I noticing? Oh, the gutter run. The plus strength gutter runner got strength busted?
Yeah.
No! I was so excited to see what that gutter runner would do, and now he's garbage.
Getting fired is what he's gonna do.
I was so excited to see a strength 3 gutter runner like do nonsense in this league, and now he's just worthless. Now he's just a Raj gutter runner for 150k, which is garbage. Like, he should be fired.
Just super fired. I don't love the AV. I don't
I.
think you need it on Storm Vermin. They're already they're already armor 8. It's good enough for rats. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I take the movement either, especially not on a movement busted piece. I probably would have just skipped it for piling on. Or tackle. Probably tackle. You have 0 tackle.
Yeah, and then armor 6 line rat kind of sucks. The movement 6 ones, I mean, are probably fine for now.
Yeah, you keep the movement 6 rounds, but you fire ratty for sure.
Man, that's unfortunate. This team took a lot of damage last game, and that kind of sucks. They still have the makings of potential. You know, they still have chances to win games, certainly. They've got the strip ball gutter runners. They've got a guard storm vermin, but that's kind of all they've got going for them right now. But to be fair with Skaven, that's all you really need to win. He's just going to have to play carefully and play well for a few games to recover a little bit, I think. But you still got the important pieces, I guess, of a Skaven team. The only thing you'd really like is Dratz Squeaks. When Dratz Squeaks comes back, you'll have the 2 guard and you'll have the Mighty Blow again, so that's certainly hopeful. Cheese Whiz being strength busted is the saddest thing in the universe, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Ratty needs to get fired, but no development on the line rats, which is kind of exactly what you want. So he's got a base, but he's got to do a bit of rebuilding.
And then next up is Starry Fight from Rumblebee, moving us along.
Yep.
Ooh, Goria O'Keefe has picked up plus movement to go with his plus strength. That is a hell of a runner.
That's a really good dwarf runner. One of the biggest weaknesses of dwarves, especially in the runners, is how slow they can be. That, like, this, a lot of times you'll just be like, well, only have 3 turns, guess I'm not going to score. And like, that's the thing that happens a lot, and it really sucks. Or if the enemy gets around behind you and you can't do anything, right? Having the movement is such a big deal for dwarves. And Jackson Poleaxe has also picked up a level and strip ball, so he's got a great defensive runner with wrestle, tackle, strip ball.
Yeah, for sure.
The dwarf team is looking really good, actually. I like this dwarf team a lot.
If he stops losing games, he'll be in great shape.
Yeah, a little more Mighty Blow spam on the Longbeards, but I think you want to pick up guard first. So I agree with that. But a couple more, some Mighty Blow and Stand Firm sort of smattered around in between those Longbeards would be really handy.
Yeah, I'd start going Mighty Blow first, for sure, at this point.
Yeah, I'd
take... really need to accelerate their growth a bit.
Yeah, I'd go Mighty Blow first on both Red Brant and Edward Punch, and then I'd probably take 1 Mighty Blow and 2 Stand Firm between the 3 remaining Longbeards that only have 1 level. You're gonna want some more Mighty Blow, and you're gonna want some Stand Firm in there. But other than that, the things are looking really good. Troll Slayers are gonna want some leveling. Michelangelo has picked up Stand Firm, so he can be a guard piece with Stand Firm that is slightly more mobile at movement 5. And then the blitzing. You get the tackle Mighty Blow available for Raphael if you want to use it, or if not, you have the Frenzy Mighty Blow on the Troll Slayer. So giving you a couple options is nice. They're going to level soon. Tackle or Piling On are good options for those Troll Slayers.
Yep, pretty standard dwarf stuff.
Snake Kitties?
Snake Kittens. Yeah.
Getting there. This is the team that was pretty underdeveloped in terms of their Saurus, but now they've worked their way up to 5 Saurus block, and that is way better than the 3 they had at the start of the season.
I think they had 2 even. I think it was worse than that.
So now it's looking like a good value lizard team, right? Like, very efficient. They've got 2 guard, they've got 1 tackle, they've got 1 break tackle, bunch of blocks smattered around, the guard, Stand Firm, and the Croxagore, 1 really good skink, and then 2 utility skinks that are going to be very annoying, and 1 Agi 4, 1 for scoring. Like, it's a super TV efficient team, and that's really good. Like, you're very often going to get Slibbly against every other team in this division, and then going up to 7 Saurus is gross.
Slibbly is a bit of a powerhouse, to be sure.
This is a good lizard team. Like, there's not a lot of development now, but it's efficient.
It would be a really solid lizard team in a lower division, but I think in this one it's a bit over. It's the same problem with the Necro. It's like they're just a bit outclassed right now. Like you said, lizards do really well when they're playing 250 TV down, but it still must be said that he's got tough matches certainly against any kill team.
Not unless you play me, in which case you're incapable of removing lizards, but that's fine.
Oh yeah, I saw like every blitz your killer made was just an exercise in sadness.
Yep.
Shall we do predictions?
Is that everybody? It was. Yeah, so let's do some predictions. So with the REBBL Yell and Hausdorff home wreckers. So we've got the
So super killy Chorfs versus with the REBBL Yell, which are Undead. Not a great matchup for Undead traditionally.
No. The mummy is going to be able to do useful things. Like strength 5 is not the easiest thing players to deal with, but the Chorfs have enough guard that it's kind of be mostly irrelevant.
Yeah, he's gonna have some problems. The nice thing that the Undead do have going for them is that the Chorfs have 0 bench.
That's
so
true.
If you can cause any damage, you can do some good things. And he does have Dirty Player and Mighty Blow, so he might be able to cause a bit of damage.
Yeah, if you can foul a Chorf blocker to death or to injury or whatever, then that's such a huge advantage that you're gaining all of a sudden, because every removal is a real removal, and those Chorfs being gone is going to make your life. Every guard removed is going to make your life easier.
That said, I still think this goes to the Chorfs most of the time.
I would agree with that.
Unless he gets like a lucky early break, this is going to be tough. He does get some inducements, so he could play around with that a bit. He gets 240, it looks like. Yeah, 240, depending on what he decides. So could be that'll be an interesting match to watch, I think. But I think most of the time,
scaled measures and Orcsploitation Cinema. Oh, this will be a good one too. That's the so many strength lizard team versus the like 2000 TV orc team. The orcs may meet a bit of their match here. Like this is an orc team with a lot of strength and a lot of guard and a lot of like guard block, but they're going to get outstrengthed by the lizards.
They are down. The lizards are going. The lizards are going to be Downosaurus.
That's true.
Claw guard, tiny arms, which is one of their guard source, is going to be out.
This is top of the table clash too, right? 411-402 as the
no, the 4-2. Yes, it's kind of like second and third, I think.
Yep, this is second and third. Yeah, so this is a big game.
It is indeed. We'll probably watch it next week.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
No, we've watched scaled measures. We haven't watched Dustunheim though. I don't think.
No, we'll see.
I want to see that strength 5 piece in action. Yeah.
There's a lot of strength 5 available for the lizards, which can help deal with the guard of the orcs a little bit, but there is only one guard because the other guard is out. The strength 5 like strip ball is the strength 5 break tackle is still useful, but it's not really as useful against other teams because like strength 3 is going to be good enough for the skinks, but it does allow him to ignore a lot of assists, and the strip ball is a big deal because you're not going to have sure hands anywhere. I think I give this to the orcs, but it's going to be a close one. The lizards have a lot of strength to match up, but I think the missing guard is a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. The lizards could scum Slibbly, which will matter a lot. But I think the orcs have a slight edge.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. Let's see. Then we have Wayside Warmongers and Wood United. So we've got Philosophical and his humans versus Wood United and his elves, or Luke and his elves. There's only one tackle for Philosophical, but it is Tackle, Mighty Blow, Piling On, Frenzy, Jump Up, which is pretty good at removing elves.
There's only one tackle for the Wood Elves too, and that's kind of relevant.
There's only 3 dodge on the humans team.
That's true. Through Tossley is going to be a bit annoying. You're going to basically have to red dye him if he's in a cage. But he doesn't have blocks, so that is nice. But he does have sure hands, so pushes aren't going to be good.
Yeah, that's surprisingly that's a really good thrower. That like just the fact that he exists is going to make the if he didn't exist, I would give this to Wood Elves 100% of the time. But with that through Tossley being a player that exists, it suddenly becomes a lot more even. Just because it's going to be so much harder for the Wood Elves to get the ball off you. And even if you only have one tackle, your ball is relatively safe on the strength 5 guy. So you can just run around and punch elves one at a time. And if you can get a play, if you can, you know, remove a player every turn or two, then you can win. And your ball's pretty safe on the strength 5, so it's not easy. Elves do have that really good catcher.
What do you say?
Let's go humans, I believe.
Cool, I went Welf.
I believe in Phil and he'll ride the high from his win this week and continue it forward. It's really close though. I could easily see that going either way, but Snake Kitties and Common Nightmares. So we've got the Necro team. So this is the like pretty standard Necro team. Big deal is
half-baked Necro versus the half-baked Lizards, so they can finally have a match at even TV, more or less. The Lizards are actually still down a little bit, but
170.
Not exciting numbers for Lizards.
No, that's it's Wizard, I guess.
Yeah, Wizard, which isn't bad. I guess it's like a blodge step ghoul that can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, and with an Agi 4 skink, recovery is not an issue after lightning bolting a ball carrier. The Undead or the Necro are going to outguard the Lizards by a bit with 4, and I think the Lizards only have 1 or 2 maybe. I've got 2, 3. Never mind. The big deal I think is that there isn't a mighty blow on one of those werewolves. There is claw, but at best that's probably just going to be a stun machine without mighty blow lying around anywhere.
Yep. What do you think?
I think I want to go Lizards.
I say Necro.
I think the Necro don't have enough well,
too late.
Sure.
Starfight versus JJ Cash. So this is Rumblebee versus JJ Cash. Humans can do well against dwarves. They suffer from the Mighty Blow spam, though Rumblebee does not have that much Mighty Blow, it must be said. JJ Cash might even have more. And he does have the agility to really run circles around the dwarves. This should be a pretty good matchup for the humans.
Yeah, I think the agility, it's gonna be the human thing of outbash the Agi teams and out Agi the bash teams, and he's got the Agi tools to out Agi the dwarf team. I think he can really play as elves against those dwarves while having the armor 8 to back it up with.
Inducements, like 300k, more than. So I don't know what you get at 300k as dwarves. I've never had that much, so normally they bloat. So normally they're kind of the they're certainly not the underdog usually.
I'm gonna go with humans again, because I think that with their movement in Agi, they're going to be able to utilize, like, the way humans beat dwarves is with the speed Agi game, and he has the tools to do a good speed Agi game with the stat ups he's gotten.
Yep, agreed. And then another Bloody Bell and Forsaken Lion. So these are both the teams that have been a little battered the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure they're both looking forward to this one. It's a more Agi matchup for both players.
Yeah, the Skaven are out their only Mighty Blow. They have no tackle. And they do have they have 2 strip ball pieces though, but they are out their best gutter runner, who is dead. And
there's no sure hands on the side of the high elves, and the high elf basically the high elf strategy is hide in the back and then eventually pass it to someone. It's hard to hide in the back against movement 9.
Yes, so they will be able to punch the ever living crap out of the rats in the meantime.
The rats are going to get like 600k in inducements though.
It can't be.
1760 versus 1140.
Yeah, but they only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Wow, they have a full bench at 1140.
They get 600k inducements, which is.
Do they ever? I mean, like, you get all the gutter stars. You get maybe the claw strength 4 piece.
Yeah.
It's not bad against high elves because they're all armor 8.
Wizard.
Wizard, yeah.
You can take advantage of. I kind of want to watch this one too.
Yeah, we might. We're still in the middle of the season. We don't need to watch the top of the schedule stuff. What do you think?
That's tough. I think the 600k inducements are going to make quite a difference. And How much is there? How much is there any tackle available for the Skaven?
Both teams have no tackle.
All right.
And lots of dodge, so it's going to be interesting to say the least.
Both. It's hard. This is really hard. I think having not watched the High Elves play, I don't really know what their strategy is, so I don't have a good idea of how Arcade Blaze plays. But I think I want to go with High Elves. Like, the TV difference is enormous when you're that far apart. There's only so much that these ones can do.
Yeah, and I think the High Elves have more dodge spread, so the lack of tackle is going to be felt more by the rats than by the High Elves.
Yeah, the rats are going to be able to get a significant bench if they want to with all those inducements, and the High Elf game plan is mitigated a little bit by the fact that they're actually really slow and the rats are not really slow, but they're going to be able to sort of pass wherever they want still. And
yeah, I mean, you just have to change your game plan. So if you're the High Elves, I think you move from a hang in the backfield plan to a cage up and bully your way down the field.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is when the rats induce Big Rat.
Biff. Okay, sure.
Big Rat. It's gonna crush it. Boss Hog Outlaws and Greenskin Brawlers.
Yep, so this is our top of the table, Greenskin Brawlers versus the Chaos Dwarfs with no claw.
Probably gonna be an orc win there.
Yeah, there's only 3 guard available for the Chorfs, so the orcs outstrength you and outguard you. And they have that Sorek, the Blitzer, is going to be able to go after hobgoblins pretty easily, and since Volp has carries on a hobgoblin, that could be pretty dangerous if you happen to lose him. The bull centaurs aren't going to be able to accomplish much, I don't think. Certainly not undoable for the Chorfs, but I think this is going to be a really hard one for them. So
yeah, agreed.
I'll give this to Orcs. So let's move on to 7. Schedule. So we had One Punch Ogre versus the Old World Wardens. As usual, I predicted the Ogres, and as usual, they lost. This is going to lose me the prediction competition, but I'm fine with that.
I don't think so, because I also predicted Ogres, as you may remember.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So, -1 apiece.
Let's see. The Old World Wardens had the ball way more often. They outblocked the Ogres, and they out-removed the Ogres. But that's not really that unexpected. 5 casualties sustained, and I bet like 4 of them were Snotlings. But if any one of them was an Ogre, then that could easily explain that game. I wonder if we can look at, like, let's see. Bonehead looks about normal. Dice don't look particularly bad for the Ogres. Looks like a relatively average game. It just turns out Ogres are Ogres.
Yep.
But there's some really good Ogres on the team. I'm interested to see how that happened, but it was 2-1, so it may have been like a relatively close game.
For sure.
Left-facing Fist 2 has leveled, so with the MVP, so we'll get to see what that Ogre has picked up. We had Mordheim Cryptors. Also, Gypsy Prince is a crazy, crazy person, having played him in Clan. Now, I understand why he plays Ogres.
Yes. When I saw him sizing up the triple stunty dodge with the ball carrier, just so he could position behind you and surf your player, I was like, this man is actually insane. Yep.
I like it. I appreciate it. I enjoy you, Gypsy Prince.
Yeah. He got lucky most of the game, just not when it counted.
Yeah.
Then we have Crypt Lords.
I'll take a win where I can get it.
I forgot to blitz on turn 1.
I did. I hadn't even opened Blood Bowl in like 2.5 weeks, so...
Yes, your clan appreciates your efforts. Necro versus Undead. We predicted the Necro. And who won? It's impossible. Stupid Undead teams.
The Mordheim Cryptors are the Undead.
So the Undead won, and we were wrong again.
Yep. Sure are. Boris the Old picked up MVP. Captain Sinkum picked up MVP, which levels that white, which is certainly handy because he's Blodge Guard. So like Stand Firm or Mighty Blow potentially are all really good options, but levels on whites are really good. Levels on positionals in general.
Yep.
Let's see.
55 blocks for the Necro, inflicting a
blocks.
ton of damage, but still losing the game somehow. Maybe some shenanigans at play there.
Yeah, I feel like if Necro, like Undead, and Necro are so similar. Necro or Undead having the strength 5 basically being one of the only real differences. So if you're getting outblocked, then and lose the removal game, which they definitely did. You would expect them to lose, but
yeah, so some shenanigans at play, perhaps.
I think so. It must have been
the
somewhere.
Undead sustained 6 casualties and a death. Well, 6 casualties including a death, I should say. So the Crypt Lord's not quite cinching the win there, but costly win probably for the Undead. Then we have Bashing Lizzies versus Stump Force.
Yeah, I really want to know what happened there.
The Dwarves won.
Well, we're gonna be in the big minus this week, I think.
Crushing it. MVP to the Death Roller, leveling him. He gets guard. Maybe well deserved. Did he get any other SPP? What is he, Uraz? No, he did not. Only MVP.
Stump Force, yeah.
Looks like the Lizards never had the ball.
Nope.
Somehow. Kept up with the bashing game versus the Dwarves more or less, 2 and 4 removals apiece. Dwarves even sustained a death. So maybe you would have expected this to go to the Lizards' favor, but something went horribly wrong.
Yeah, it's similar.
Turned over, it looks like.
Certainly similar block numbers and like removal numbers and stuff, but the ball was always under the control of the Dwarves. So if that kind of thing can happen, I guess, right? Like if both sides just always are dead even sort of in terms of players and positioning, it can be hard for one to get the ball off the other if they protect it well. If you don't ever gain a major advantage, which maybe would have happened there. Once again, hard to see what happened. But Dwarves had the ball in control, but similar removal numbers on both sides, and that resulted in a Dwarf victory. I wonder how well the Death Roller did.
Like it kind of looks like a failed pickup or two from the Lizards, and then the Dwarves were able to run forward and to take control of the ball, but that's hard to do as Dwarves, so I'm really curious what happened there.
If you can get into a scrum, potentially, it can be really hard for Lizards to grab it because the skinks are going to have a hard time picking up in tackle zones, and they're going to have to probably dodge out, and with all the guard and stand firm and thick skull and stuff, it can be difficult to remove the Dwarves. So if there was a failed pickup or two to give the Dwarves chances to get into a giant scrum, then that could have been a thing that made it hard for the Lizards, but certainly not impossible.
Yep. And then we have another result where we were wrong on Nurgle versus Wood Elves. The Nurgle were victorious. I remember saying that this Nurgle team was better equipped to fight Wood Elves than most Nurgle teams, though we still expected them to lose.
Although it's a very Nurgle scoreline of 1-0. That's sort of exactly how
shutting out Wood Elves. That's a thing.
That's exactly how Nurgle beat Elf teams. Is like you just defend against their drive, and then once you get the ball, you hold on to it forever. But it can be really hard to, like, basically if Nurgle win against Elves, they win 1-0, but they don't. Sure. They won't win a lot of the time. So it's very impressive that they won.
Especially with 0 permanent removals. They inflicted. Oh, they get a Kaz from fouling, it looks like, or from a dodge. But
KOs can be good enough, certainly, if they stay out for long enough. But
yeah, there's only 3 though. It's not like
not a crazy amount. No. The Nurgle did sustain a death, and it was their MVP, which is unfortunate. But it was a rotter, so I guess that's fine. Who cares, really?
Still 5 SPP down the drain. Stings. The Nurgle failed 65% of their armor rolls, which is a thing.
I know how that feels.
Yep. What else had great dodge dice? Amazing dodge dice, probably. Did pretty well on tentacles as well. All foul appearance rolls, all but 1 leap. Yeah, it looks like the Wood Elves had pretty solid dice. Curious how this went down.
Well done to the Nurgle.
2 failed passes could have been a thing. Maybe some passes in
Yeah, if the Nurgle
presence.
yeah, if the Nurgle position themselves well and make it so that the elves have to do a difficult play to try and score and then fail it, then the Nurgle just surround the ball and keep it safe. It can be then if like basically one failure from the elves, and then the Nurgle can make it really hard for the elves to do things. So if that failed pass may have been a big turning point.
Yep. And then we had the only contested pick,
and it was a tie.
Yeah, Dark Elves versus Orcs, and it was a tie.
Yep, so great. We're making exactly even points. So I guess no matter how badly we did, at least we're equally as bad.
Yep. We're -4 so far.
Good.
But I know the last two results are better, so we got that going.
We're currently at -3 total, so -7 is not a good score.
Well, we got 1 whole point from Div 6.
Oh, good.
Raj piece with a movement bust picked up MVP to level. Hasn't picked the level yet. Definitely not the player you want to be leveling.
No.
Dark Elves are slow enough as is. A movement busted line elf is a pretty sad line elf indeed.
This is 52 blocks to 26, so the Orcs absolutely bashing the crap out of the Dark Elves. This is sort of what is expected. However, these are really, really agile Dark Elves, so I imagine that despite getting the crap beaten out of them, they managed to...
Surprising they gave up so many blocks. 52 is a lot for an Agi team to be giving up. Maybe doing a bit too much basing. Hard to say, obviously, without watching things, but 52 is a lot.
Well, 8 KOs inflicted, 1 injury, 1 kill. 8 KOs, 2 casualties, and the kill sustained. Meaning that the Dark Elves went down a lot of players, and if you're down a lot of players, sometimes it can be hard not to give up blocks because they just surround you, but especially if the blocks come early, so that could explain that. 1 interception sustained is kind of funny. Orcs intercepting a Dark Elf pass there somehow.
Could have been how the Dark Elves failed to sneak in a win. I'll be right back.
Yeah, but I totally imagine that this is a case of the Dark Elves, since they're so agile, being able to sneak in a touchdown despite getting crumped by the Orcs real good. Potentially had a chance to win maybe with that intercept, but there you go. It's worth noting that, let's see, I predicted the Orcs and Justin predicted the Dark Elves, so maybe the interception saved me a little bit there. Squeaky Blinders and Reality Kings, we both predicted the Kislev would take this, and they did 2-0. Kislev is it's such a good Kislev team, and they have a lot of the tools to be able to deal with the rats. They just had the ball the whole time. Bunch of easy quick scores, a lot of injuries inflicted, 7 KOs, 5 casualties, and a death. The rats were probably outbashed and out-agied by the Reality Kings. This looked like a pretty one-sided game. 52 blocks sustained versus 18 blocks, and making it 2-1 or 2-0. Sorry, Squeaky Blinders, but Superfed kind of had that in the bag pretty easily, I think. There you go. Took hit his Strength 4 Sure Hands turn 1. Did plenty of damage. Second half I had numbers, but his 1-die blitzes were 3 of 3 on Kaz. Yeah, that's pretty much what I expected. If you got early damage, then you just do whatever you want for the rest of the game. And numbers like 68 to 18 and 52 to 18 here very much indicate that at least one entire half of the game was you doing whatever you wanted, and Squeaky Blinders just kind of rolling dice and hoping something worked. And if he got a couple 1-die Kazas, well then it worked, I guess. But you can't really blame people for trying the one play they have available to them. It sucks when it works, but I mean, they're gonna do it.
What's going on?
Reality Kings annihilated Squeaky Blinders.
That was kind of expected. Developed Kislev are very tough for Agi teams to deal with.
Yeah, so he took out the Strength 4 Sure Hands player turn 1, and then just wrecked him. It was 50 blocks to 18. It was pretty much like the Blitzer or the Kislev just doing whatever they wanted to the rats for 2 halves.
Did you have to leap for that hit on the Strength 4? I hope so, because I don't know why the Strength 4 would be exposed otherwise.
And then second half, rats players who are down a bunch of players doing the thing they do, which is rolling dice and hoping it works, getting a couple Kaz out of 1-die blocks essentially. But people are gonna roll those things when they have nothing else to do. Then we had Rats Against Teen Stars and Horn Stars. So we also predicted the rats were going to take this one, and they sure did, 3-1 in a very rat style with a lot of touchdowns.
We did it. We got points.
Hooray!
We only got -2 points this div. -1 for the week overall.
31 blocks for the Chaos, 28 for the Rats, so not a whole lot of blocks of the Chaos, which is basically how the Rats want the game to go. And then the Rats just kind of scoring whenever they wanted to. 4 passes, 4 catches. I think this is how we kind of expected it. That the Chaos were going to be able to get in at least 1 touchdown. When
I didn't expect the Chaos to get quite so pummeled, to be honest.
It took a lot of
it looks
damage,
like they
yeah.
just got the crap kicked out of them. On 14 breaks, the Rats got 8 removals, including 2 deaths. So the Chaos got a little pummeled.
They did. The Rats were probably going to win even if that didn't happen, but that made it way easier for them, certainly, and may have resulted in the 3-1 versus like the 2-1 or something. Apparently, it was not a leap from Superfed, by the way. It was just exposed. So there you go.
Don't leave your star players exposed.
So after those results, this is what the leaderboard looks like. We've got the Rats against Teen Stars, Superfed with Reality Kings, Razzlestorm with the Rats, and Glomar with the Bash and Lizzies are the teams to beat currently in this div with 5-1-0, 5-1-0, and 5-0-1 respectively. So those are your 3 contenders currently at the top of the table with their 5 wins, starting to pull away pretty seriously from your more middle of the pack teams with PDX Bosco and Dr. Spagooters with their 3 wins apiece. Being behind 2 wins is a bit of an obstacle to overcome potentially when you're halfway through the season. As long as those teams keep winning, I feel like we've got our sort of top 3. Those 3 will be competing for the playoff spots. There's only 1 playoff spot in this div, so it's going to be a tight race between those 3 teams. But I think those are 3 teams.
I don't think that's true. That was when we were doing it, but I think there's only 1 spot.
I think so.
I thought the whole point of the play-ins was that every REL div got 2 spots.
I think there's 2 and 7, or 2 and 6, but not 7.
I don't know, maybe I'm mistaken.
There's only 1 and 7 and 8 and 9.
This is where I was last year. Last season, I should say. I was also in vying for top against Rats, actually, as Lizards, trying for the top spot, and I did not get it.
Yeah, so it's
7 and below have only 1 spot.
Going to be tough competition for those teams, and they're probably going to. I don't know if they played each other or not yet, but those matches are going to be real crucial when they do. It'll be big for one of these 3 teams to win against each other. And then we have. Oops, that's the wrong division. We should look at the teams. And I backed out, and then I went to 6 instead.
You monster.
A lot of pending levels in this div.
Damn it, guys.
Yeah, I know. I want to talk about stuff. Salty Chips and Angre. Well, got a pending level on the lineman, which is kind of unfortunate because he's movement busted, and you'd rather it be on other players. But tackle potentially, but I mean, movement 5 is rough. Let's see. Anything potentially new here? Dodge on the other movement busted lineman, so he's blodged now. Another blodge piece is always good, even if he is just movement 5. Just much harder to knock over, much more reliable with the Agi 4. Agi 6 is still kicking around, and the Witch Elf looks like it's got sidestep, so now it's blodge, jump up, strength 4, sidestep, which is certainly frustrating player to deal with, and he's much more confident.
To be sure.
Yeah, much more confident when surfing players now with the sidestep afterwards. Looks like the other Witch Elf has picked up Wrestle. I don't play Dark Elves very often, but you see some, like, I think it's a contentious thing amongst Dark Elf players.
No, I like the Wrestle and the block. I think you need a bit of a...
Oh, yeah, I mean, I do too, but I'm saying some I've seen a bunch of Dark Elf players talk about, like, only Wrestle all the time, or only block all the time. Like, people have very strong opinions about the Witch Elf skill, whether it be block or Wrestle. I don't really have a good one because I don't play Dark Elves, but it's certainly a thing that people talk about a lot.
I think if I was going to play Elves, they would be Dark Elves. But, yeah, kind of a battered-looking team. Still lacking in the doubles, which it has been since the beginning.
Yeah, it
and
needs
some extra damage.
Certainly needs some guards somewhere, but, you know, doubles. Certainly needs some Mighty Blow somewhere if they can get it, but, you know, doubles. The big thing is it's just blodge everywhere, right? So if you run into teams without tackle, it can be super annoying, and you're going to be on your feet all the time.
Yeah, but you're in a division with a bunch of 2K teams. Like, inevitably, you're going to start running into a lot more tackle. So this is when these sort of teams start to fall off. Dark Elves do have a lower ceiling than most Elf teams because a lot of their value is in their early starting skills with their 4 block acts
Yeah, they have 4 really early blodge pieces, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they blowed up really quick too.
Yep. Because everyone levels, so everyone gets stats, and their armor rate, so they stick around a bit longer than what else.
The Old World Wardens and Tetsuya. Oh my, yeah. Mr. Skeletal, a meme skeleton.
Still around, still doing things.
Still
spooking.
Still got Dirty Player and Sneaky Kit.
Sir Greenwood the Swift has leveled, and if that's not, I mean, if it's a double, you skip it. If it's a stat,
Mighty
other
Blow.
than strength, you probably skip it and grab Mighty Blow. You desperately need another Mighty Blow blitz.
You've got 3 guard somewhere. You've got 3 guard. I mean, yeah, more guard is good, but you have no Mighty Blow blitzer. You have Mighty Blow on the mummies, but they're not really going to be blitzing very often. They're going to take your line blocks, and then they're going to be, pushing forward with strength 5. You need a Mighty Blow blitzer somewhere.
Yeah, it would take strength, I think, to deter me from
Mighty Blow there.
Mighty Blow. I wouldn't take Agi.
Jimmy Jr. is 2 SPP away from getting Sure Hands to have the Blood Sure Hands runner, which you certainly really want on this team. The mummies are really good. They've got a lot of development. They're like guard, break, tackle, stand firm, block on one of them. Good mummies.
The 8 hurts a bit, but it's not a deal breaker for that piece, I don't think.
Especially since he has block and movement.
Yeah, really helps, certainly. Yeah, really solid piece. In general, kind of an undead team that's like approaching kind of plateau. The ghouls are a bit underdeveloped, and so are the whites, but this is kind of like when undead's 1600, 1700 TV is really when undead start to fall off. So
he's got one of the stats that make it slightly more helpful, being an agi on the white, because you can start doing like weird passing things if you really need to. They're relatively. It can be really useful.
I think agi on whites is worth taking, but not like.
It's not incredible, but it's good.
Not something that defines a team, Like agi on a ghoul can be team defining. Strength on a white can be team defining. Agi on a ghoul or a white rather is less.
Yep. Yeah. So some more development probably needed. Like we want wrestle on one of these ghouls. Wrestle on one of these ghouls. Sure hands on the guy with blodge, and then like we need a mighty blow tackle, sort of white, and then the team looks really good. Squeaky Blinders and Rando Maximus.
You can see every time.
Oh, because there's Randomus Namus and Rando Maximus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Still doesn't have Claw, though Arthur Colby II is 2 SPP from another chance at it.
Yep.
Thomas Colby III suggests that perhaps they've been having, this is brand new, so his last one has bit the dust, eaten dirt.
I need to finish watching this show. I watched the first 2 seasons, I think. It's so good, and I just never got around to finishing it.
Too.
It's really good. We have a great gutter runner for sacking with tackle, strip ball, wrestle, 2 heads. What else do you even want? I mean, you pray for more doubles to grab horns, I guess. But on normals, there's not really. I mean, you could start taking sidestep or sprint or something just to have more mobility. But he has all the sacking skills he needs. He's got a backup one, and then he's got the other 2 that are being built in the not sacker way with the block sidestep kind of thing. Strength thrower is still around, despite getting injured in the last game. So at least that's good, because that's a good player, good ball carrier to have the ball on until you want to give it to a gutter runner.
Yeah, for sure.
Got guard on one of the linemen, so movement 7 guard, really good. Makes up for not having guard yet on one of the storm vermin, and you can dedicate the storm vermin much more towards the killing side of things.
I think you always need to go Mighty Blow first on a storm vermin in case they roll those doubles, but you do eventually want to grab guard on at least one of them usually.
Yeah, and it's less bad, certainly. It feels less bad when you have guard somewhere else to go Mighty Blow first, because you can use the guard places. And then I think that's all the new things here. I think we have this block is probably new on a gutter runner, but that's not anything particularly exciting. Hornstars, my Nemo, the Chaos, got a little crunched in their last game, but so 2 of the Chaos Warriors are down to movement 4, so now they're kind of slightly worse Nurgle Warriors.
It looks like he lost his killer. Did he not have a killer ghost?
He has a block tackle piling on Mighty Blow 1.
I don't know if he had a Claw Mighty Blow 1.
He's got 3 Claw Mighty Blow Chaos Warriors. 4 Claw Mighty Blow Chaos Warriors, though.
He does. Boy, you need some guard,
Yeah,
son.
go.
You needed guard like yesterday.
He's going all in on the kill, which is a strategy that Chaos players or Nurgle players sometimes do. I think I prefer getting guard somewhere. It helps you win games if the Claw Mighty Blow doesn't fire. But with so many Claw Mighty Blow hits, it's inevitably going to at some point, and that can help you win games. But I think it's easier to win games going a few guard first. Killer Beastman, wrestle on that Beastman. I think his next level is probably tackle and 1 SPP. For the wrestle.
Yep, having a wrestle tackle piece is nice. Probably should look to get some guard Beastman. I think he might have had some. He sustained 2 beast deaths last game, so I think he probably lost a lot of his supporting pieces.
Yeah, I'd look to be getting
luckily it wasn't the Chaos Warriors, but it still stings, of course.
Bend Over recently leveled, it looks like, and same with Lance Thruster and Luke Thigh-Walker, are all relatively above, or relatively recently above the 31 SPP. I think at least one of those probably should have been guard. But
yeah, for sure.
The Luke and Lance may have been claw before, because they are pretty slow to level, especially if they're movement 4. But Bend Over being at 31 is probably pretty recently, and I think that probably should have been guard. Yeah, this team needs some more guard, but and then it'll be to make it a lot better than it is. But it's all right. That's a lot of kill potential, so it's not if that fires, it can be bad for your opponent. Rats Against Teen Stars and Razzle Storm got a pending level on Millie, probably down, which is the Blodge Step Leap Agi 5 Gutter Runner.
Damn.
It's a pending level, so I don't know what it is, but if we assume normals, Strip Ball probably is a good option.
No, he already have a strip piece. I might go.
But he's Agi 5 Leap now.
Sprint? I mean, I don't hate Strip to go for like the cage diving Strip player, though he's already block, which makes that a little bit more awkward.
It does, yeah.
Strippers to be Raj.
I mean, if that was movement, then that would be amazing.
He's got 2 claw now. Did you say that already?
I did not. He could go sprint, would be a good option too, because he has the leap, so he can leap over the end line. And the Agi 5 makes it a 2+. It just means that he still has to get a push out of that somewhere, which can be a hard part of a 1-turn potentially. So that's something that has to happen. Clawpalm Holland finally has claw. He doesn't have palm yet, but he has claw. Or he's missing the Po from his Sea Palm Holland. Yeah. And Claw Mighty Blow Horns. So those are 2 really scary Storm Vermin. I wouldn't want to play this Skaven team. I don't think any much new on the Gutter Runners, but like there's 1 Strip Ball Wrestle player. There's a bunch of Sidestep Tackle, Diving Tackle lying around. Kick and Dirty player on Lineman, and then Wrestle on one of them. Like, this is I don't want to play this rat team. Go away. At least I'm not in their division. This Kick, I think, is relatively new, which is good, because having Kick on Skaven helps a lot. You can utilize that movement 9.
Yeah, gross Skaven team.
Superfed and his 2000 TV Kislev. Let's see what's new here. It looks like I think
Stabin got Juggernaut. Looks like.
Yeah, it's a good skill. I like Juggernaut. I think it's undertaken and underutilized.
Particularly, yeah, you see a lot of blitzers, like killers at this stage, go something like Pro, and I think Juggernaut is, generally speaking, more useful.
It also allows you to like shift players. If you happen to roll both downs, you can then still move them, right? Like, how often have you been in a situation where you're like, okay, I need to get this guy out of the way. A push is good enough, and then you get like double both down, and you're like, fuck. But, like, it's not a turnover, but it doesn't help you, right? And being able to force it into pushing players out of the way is really handy, and then being able to cancel out like fend, stand firm, or wrestle to like move those stand firm players out of the way. You can still surf those stand firm players. You can get rid of that annoying stand firm guard piece potentially.
Cancels wrestle. Yeah, it does a lot of things.
It's a good skill. I think dodge is probably new on MILF Hunters. That gives you a blodge guard piece. Then we have a new Mighty Blow, I think, on Anger. So we get another Blitzer in the works in case something happens to Captain Stabin, essentially.
Really really good looking team.
Ogres and Superfed this week.
I mean, like, Ogres will lose that match every day of the week, but Mighty Blow spam against AV8 can be a real problem. Unfortunately, the Ogres do not have a lot of tackle, and there's a fair amount of blodge, and diving tackle is brutal for Snotlings. They die really hard to diving tackle.
Anyway, that's for the prediction stage. What else is new here? I think a kick is probably new. It's on like a blodge guard piece, but I mean that's fine. He's not going to be on the line anyway, so you kick and then you have the blodge guard for doing stuff. He's a catcher. Anything else new? I think this strip ball is probably new on Happy Tugs. A lot of levels since the last week, but this is wrestled.
They did a lot of damage to the rats. It looks like
this
we're
is
able to farm some levels.
Yeah, AV6 is unfortunate, but it turns out Agi4, or two plus leaps with Agi4 and really long legs into Dauntless wrestle strip sacking can certainly do a thing. Like it's a good sacker player.
Yeah, I think this team needs more tackle, but that's about it. I mean,
yeah.
Other than it's kind of like only single tackle piece. It's looking pretty.
It's really good. I don't want to play it. And Sugar and Spikes, Weeknight Wizard, got some Orcs. Another pending level. Please select your levels so we can talk about them. It's a Blitzer with Block Guard. That's probably Tackle, unless, or potentially Mighty Blow, depending on who you play next, but probably Tackle because you only have one, unless it's like a double or something.
I'd go Blodge on a double, yeah, for a Blitzer for sure.
Yeah, because he has Guard. If it's a double, probably Blodge or maybe a stat. But if it's standard, I think probably Tackle is what I'd take. It looks like that's a new Mighty Blow on Sage, which is good. I mean, that's kind of where your Mighty Blow is gonna be on the Blitzers. I think that's a new Agi on Parsley as well. Like Agi on Blitzers is really good, especially if you have an Orc thrower, because it gives you a receiving option. Unfortunately, it's on like a guard Mighty Blow player, so he's not really going to be often that free. He'll probably be locked up guard Mighty Blowing things. But it does give you an option to like dodge out and receive potentially from that thrower. Because a 3+ pass with a built-in reroll isn't terrible as long as it's a short pass, and it makes the receiving a 2+. Let's see. Anything else new? I think strength is new on that thrower, so that's really handy. Any stat really on a ball carrier is good. And
the Orc throwers really need doubles and stats to stay relevant, so I think picking up the strength there is really nice.
Yeah, it makes it so much harder for players to get the ball off you, less likely to cage dive and go after you or whatever. With sure hands and strength 4, he's much harder to get the ball off of, so it's much safer to keep it on him. And then you have the Blitzer you can hand off to or throw to or whatever if you can't happen to get to the end zone with your movement 5.
Yeah, it's pretty trim at only 1710 TV. You can ditch 500k or 50k, I should say.
Yeah, which you will.
I'm really looking to level Ginger. I might grab. We'll definitely block. I might grab Mighty Blow on Cinnamon to kind of expedite the leveling, but you're probably happy with Block Guard, honestly. I think I would do Block Guard on all the Black Orcs. Ginger really needs a level, but it's going to be hard to get it on him. You basically just pray he gets an MVP at some point. Well, or you wait for a game where you're very in control and you give him a touchdown at least.
Even then, he's going to need 2. And it's going to be hard to get Kaz levels or Kaz SPP out of him because you're not going to block with the blockless guy very often. I think the Trolls got Guard recently as well, which is kind of the skill, I guess, you take on a Troll. He's going to be on the line. He's going to be getting mixed up and stuff unless you happen to roll like doubles to get block or something. Guard is pretty much what you take there.
Yep, pretty standard stuff. It's a good Orc team. Nothing too exciting, but
hey, standard things are standard for a reason. Turns out they're good.
You say that one more goddamn time tonight, I swear to God.
I've said it twice.
Yield Guard, Nurgle, pulling out the surprise victory over the Wood Elves. Definitely a team to look for. You can kind of see why. They've got 2 tackle pieces, which is a lot for Nurgle at 1600 TV.
Yeah, the block tackle Mighty Blow is really good at hurting the elves, and then the wrestle tackle is good at knocking over the elves if they really, really need to. He's got a sure hands ball carrier with 2 heads and extra arms as well, so like pretty reliably getting a hold of the ball, and once he does, it's not exactly easy to remove it from. Although I think that two heads is probably new because he's
Yeah, it looks
51.
like it is. Life stolen.
Yeah.
Is picking up the all mutation route to cheating towards having Agi4.
That's basically it's poor man's Agi4, taking extra arms and two heads, basically. That's kind of what you do on Nurgle ball carriers, though, is sure hands pray for stats and stuff, and if you don't, you just take the mutations. Beast is close to leveling. He'll probably get stand firm. Anything relatively new? Maybe the claw on Nurgle warrior for Mighty Blow block claw, which is good. It's always nice to have at least one of those on a Nurgle warrior. You also would like it on a beast somewhere, so Paprika is probably going to get claw in a few SPP. Sure. Newish thing. I think that's about all we have new, really. Not a whole lot of new things here.
Claw, but I think you mentioned that.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, no, like starting to look good. Still kind of in the awkward mid stages of Nurgle, where you got some good players and you've got some like interesting things going on, but it's not quite a real team.
Yeah, you've got a couple good players, but if you happen to lose one of those in a game, like even if they just get KO'd, suddenly you're, if Undying goes away or if like Life Stolen goes away, your team is even if it's just a KO, like for half, it suddenly becomes really, really hard to do anything as Nurgle. But
yep, for sure. And then Stump Force, the dwarves with the roller. The roller has picked up guard, and the spare runner has picked up plus strength, which is the exactly the skill you'd want to get on a dwarf.
Yeah, I think we talked about before how we think we'd rather that be like the running dwarf and then the wrestle dwarf, but turns out strength 4 is also really good to have, and definitely don't recycle him now.
Now I would look to recycle Dwarrax.
Yeah, honestly, I think I would. If you wanted to save some TV, you might consider recycling that runner and going for like a wrestle one on another guy. The only downside is he's your leader to put you at 3 rerolls. You don't need a third reroll as dwarves, really.
I would just wait till you hit 150k, and then I would maybe even a little bit more, like push yourself a bit over 150k, and then pick up the reroll and the new runner in the same go.
If you can afford it.
You're not in any rush. Like it's not really a bad thing to hold on to.
Oh, not at all. Certainly, it's just like
the more developed runner. But I think right now he's a bit redundant, especially where the other one rolled plus strength. You're going to want to carry on him.
Yeah, you're going to get kickoff return on Rares, and then he's basically a better Duracast. So, and you can't really run the ball in 2 players simultaneously. So, I mean, you have a backup, I guess, but I mean, backupping an armor 8 thick skull guy who's not going to get hit that often is is a little bit of redundancy that you probably don't need. And then sort of dwarf things. There's a bunch of guard. Getting it on blitzers is good. More mobile. Tackle is another good shot. Mighty blow on one of them. One of the troll slayers has got dodge and mighty blow. Very close to another level. And very close to another level for the other troll slayer as well. Probably another mighty blow. One of the longbeards has gotten strength, so guard and strength is excellent.
I think he had that last time. It's definitely a plus. One thing this team is missing is it doesn't have quite the longbeard development you'd like to see. It can be really helpful at this stage to have like the 6 or 7 guard. The dwarves really need to compensate for their lack of strength.
More guard, more stand firm, more mighty blow. Yeah.
Dwarf things, yeah. Basically,
just more dwarf stuff and a lot of.
The Death Roller does help in the bash matchups.
Oh yeah, the strength 7 and now with block guard. As long as you can get a good use out of him before he vanishes, because 210 kV of your or 210k TV of your team is locked up in a player that's going to vanish after somebody scores, unless you happen to get a bribe. Does he have a bribe stadium? I don't think so.
Nobody should.
Probably with a.
Yeah, he does have a bribe.
Oh, he does. Excellent. Free bribe. So that helps a lot. Feel less bad about having that much of your team locked up in it when you're. If you go on offense first, you just make sure to score on turn 8. That you can have the death roller out.
Yeah,
ideally.
He wants more of a bench, I think. So he's like not riding that razor's edge of like 1 removal is enough to push him into wasting the bribe. But other than that, yeah, looking real good.
You're probably going to get the death. Yeah, you're probably going to get the death roller a lot, which is really handy to makes up for the lack of guard, or makes up for the not total guard spam. Really.
Tomb Collector is out. He's just MNG'd though, not Niggled, thankfully. That is a really good piece at Blotch Guard.
Yep.
You'd keep it even if he was niggled, but you'd be sad about it. He's got 2 Blodge/Raj ghouls that have guard. Really solid.
Good.
Can really help an undead team kind of stand toe to toe with folks to have those mobile guard around for
really fast and hard to knock over with Blodge or Raj.
Yep.
The only thing, we've got a good runner in the sidestep dodge block movement ghoul. You'd like sure hands, I guess, but you're not going to pass up on the movement when you roll that.
Yeah, I think movement on ghouls makes a lot of sense.
Movement 8 over movement 7 is a big deal. It can make 1 turns certainly an option. It can be like you can 1 turn with movement 7. It's just harder. Like it's slightly more unreliable. It makes it a lot more of a potential option or threat if you need somewhere.
Gives you the opportunity.
Yeah. What's new? It looks like the mummies are probably got some new stuff. One has picked up break tackle and one has picked up stand firm. So the block one has stand firm, which I like. He's way harder to shift. And the guard one has break tackle, which I like because now you can, if you need to reposition that guard, you can do it on a 2+ probably.
Yep, real solid undead team. And like I said, he's got the plus strength white, which can be like sort of thing that really makes an undead team shine. So
and he can both blitz with the mighty blow, but also be another high strength guard piece to match up with those mummies and like shove your way down the field, which is certainly really good. And
this team is 1450, real lean, looking real good.
Then we have One Punch Ogre, Gypsy Prince.
Looks like that ogre injury picked up guard, or was it left facing fist?
It was left facing fist 2 has got guard.
He's good.
Which is good because there's only so many skills you can take when you only have strength access, and guard is probably the best one. He also has stand firm. Injury has got block guard, break tackle. Anything else new? I mean, we still have the Agi 4 ogre and the Agi 3 strength 6 ogre, which are extra silly.
Extra awesome.
I think Japanese ogres piling on is relatively new because I think there was only 1 piling on last time we saw this. It's just another mighty blow piling on. Like you don't really care about your ogres being on the floor when you have 6 of them, and you only really win if you get kind of lucky with removals, to be honest. So it helps it out giving you a reroll on those removals.
You gotta get lucky with something, certainly.
Yeah. Two catch nobblers helping out with the thrown teammate 1 turns for the handoff roll. And I mean, what else? A, what other skill are you going to take on a Nobblar? And B, they're
diving tackle spam.
And B, they're Nobblars, so having 2 is probably good because one of them is going to die.
It's true.
Is that what? Wait, what? Oh, that's just a non-leveled one. I didn't recognize the icon of Titchy for a second.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
I was like, what is that? This we have an Agi 4 passing ogre.
It's gonna be beautiful.
Oh, I love this team. I love ogres.
It loses all the time. It needs another reroll. Is what this team really.
Yeah, actually, honestly, it does. It needs another.
I mean, it needs 2 rerolls. I think. I think sitting at 2 rerolls instead of 3 or 4 is really holding him back.
The catch nobblars are also receivers, as Gypsy Prince is pointing out. Yeah, they're movement 5 receivers, which means they're not getting very far.
Speedy boys,
but they're still receivers. Yeah, 4 1s for winnings don't help. I know that feel. I've been trying to get a reroll in my clan team for like 5 games in a row because I keep rolling 1s. But that's the nature of dice sometimes. Crypt Lords 2, Boogaloo, and Redbeard, the Necro team. 2 Claw Mighty Blow werewolves on this Necro team.
One of them is Agi, which is pretty new. I don't know if we've seen it before.
I don't think we have. It's good. It gives you it makes the dodge out after like a failed frenzy a 2+, and it also gives you a high Agi, high movement, either receiver, ball retriever, scorer, like whatever. It's a pretty good skill on a high movement piece. Agi on a high movement piece is really handy.
Hey, look, he paid his golem tax. Put the pitchforks away, people.
Good job. New golem. And Brack Kraken has just got block. So good werewolves traded for not good flesh golems. They're gonna be a ways away from getting the real development, but at least we make up a little bit for that guard with guard on both of the whites.
Yeah, one of them's Blodge, even.
Yep.
Really solid stuff. Captain Boy Tom, I should say, has a pending level up. Probably Sure Hands, unless it's a double, in which case Guard is really good.
Yeah, Sure Hands I think is incredible there. Sure Hands Blodge Strength 4 is a really, really good ball carrier, and then you get Sidestep, and you get like every stat you can get a hold of, and it's a good Necro team, right? You've got your Blitzers in the Werewolves, you've got a good ball carrier and a Ghoul, you've got a Sacking Ghoul, you've got Guard on the Whites that also happen to have Tackle. Only thing you'd really like is some more Flesh Golem levels, but you gotta pay the Flesh Golem tax. Only two things are certain: death and taxes.
Truth. And then Lizards, the Bashing Lizards Glomar, who is at the top of the division despite only having 1,400 TV. He is several hundred TV behind the other two leaders.
Doing well. Only 4 Saurus block, but 4 is better than none.
Yeah, and pretty
like
solid
6
choices for early levels. He's got a Blodge Saurus. I don't love the dodge pickup first. I just skipped it. But now that he's got block, it's looking a lot better, and he's 1 SP away from also having guard. Having a Blodge guard piece is a real win for Lizard teams for sure.
Yep.
The 2 nearly un-SPP'd Saurus really stings, but moving forward, maybe he'll have a couple of games where he can get some levels on them.
Catch Sidestep Skink and a bunch of unleveled Skinks, so very TV efficient, but this means you're getting Slibbly in a lot of games, you're getting a Wizard in a lot of games, and you have like all the skills you need to do things in one annoying Skink and like pretty standard Saurus.
The only thing he's missing is any kill at all.
Yeah.
He's got no attrition causing other outside of the crops.
Mighty Blow on like Quack Shix, and then block on Otzel and Tyra, and then guard on that Blodgesaurus, and then this team is, you're going to be up at like the close to 1,500, and then it's really, really, really good. And like a really scary team to play at 1,500. And we have All Bark and No Bite by David Leclerc. Got some Wood Elves. These are some stats. That's a movement 9 Agi 5 War Dancer. I don't know if that's new, but that's
no, that was definitely around last time. It's 3 SCP from leveling too.
Ugh. What do you take? More stats. Strength. Strength. He's gonna roll strength. Calling it now.
Strip or sidestep?
Yeah, it'd be strip ball, I think, is the Agi 5 leap strip ball movement. Like
he's the best one turner, weirdly enough. Yeah, I mean that's a great piece. Elm is brand new, I think, or hasn't just hasn't leveled yet. No, he's only played 2 matches, hasn't picked up a single SPP, unfortunately.
Well, Walnut is going to get a lot of it.
You're going to do basically everything with him, and then he's got his stat freak lineman. One of which is now picked up dodge at least, so he's Agi 5 dodge, which is nice. Might pick up wrestle and turn him into a bit of a sacker. Capable of cage diving and going for the ball when like the leap strip play maybe isn't viable, or just nice to have kind of as an alternative as well.
If you got doubles, guard would be incredible on him as well.
For sure. I mean, you don't pass up guard basically anywhere. As Aldia, the catcher.
Although getting it on the strength 4 lineman would be great too. But I mean, yeah, guard literally anywhere on this team would be good.
Grab block tree is nice. Makes him a bit more reliable for those smacks. You never want your tree going down to a 1 in 9. So.
And if people are not gonna uphill the tree, because people will uphill trees to try to get them on the floor and make them roll dice. I'm not gonna do it now. Even if you do take root, you've got the grab to make sure people stay on you, and you get to keep hitting things. Grab also helps the 1 turn. Good stuff. Not much else new, I don't think. Probably dodge on the lineman, but that's sort of what you expect on Wood Elf lineman. Dodge and block in some combination. Potentially wrestle.
It's a kind of tall team in the sense that a lot of the TV is focused in Aldia and Walnut. Those are 2 very star players.
Yep, that can happen with
I would love to get some catcher development probably, and if you can get a little bit of a bench, because right now you're putting, I mean, I guess you're just putting the 2 dodge linemen in the tree on the line, but you're pretty weak to any sort of attrition at this point, especially because a lot of players will have block, so they've still got decent odds of knocking down these blockless dodge players.
All right, predictions. Let's go through these. I have to go to bed soon because back to work tomorrow, sadly.
Well, I've got tomorrow Old World Wardens, so Undead versus Dark Elves. I think this is a minors. Yeah, this is a minors rematch.
It is.
Those are both minors.
And Grand Tetsuya. Tetsuya, former College League champion. Well, Dark Elves are going to be missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the Dark Elves are missing 2. How much is a Dark Elf lineman? 70?
I think, yeah.
They're going to be at 1650, 1630 once they drop that. So no inducements really on either sides. So straight up.
Undead are going to get to do a lot of punching if they can knock stuff over. They have no sure hands. Do the Dark Elves have any?
No.
No. But they do have Agi 6. So it's going to be... Caging is not going to be a viable tactic necessarily for keeping the ball safe.
No, there is Mighty Blow, but the Mighty Blow is on the mummies, and the Dark Elves are basically just going to leave. Like, the mummies being so slow means that the Dark Elves are just going to leave, and there is no Mighty Blow on the one tackle player.
So attrition is going to be hard to come by for Tetsuya.
Yeah, he's not going to go down players because he has a massive bench, but attrition is going to be hard to come by. And I think the Dark Elves are going to kind of rely a bit on that Agi 6 guy to do some silly things and probably be able to out-elf the Dark Elves, or the Undead. So I think I'd give this to the Dark Elves.
Agreed.
All bark and no bite versus the Squeaky Blinders. So we have this disgusting rat team. It's actually not that disgusting, but it's the other rat team is worse, I think. But it's a good rat team. Versus All Bark No Bite, which is David's Wood Elves.
Yep.
So we got an Agi matchup.
Arthur Colby II is going to do work.
Oh, certainly.
Or not Claw, just Mighty Blow piling on tackle. It's perfect for taking out Wood Elf teams. And the rats have the numbers, I think. 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they've got a bench to do a bit of fouling versus the benchless Wood Elves. The Wood Elves have a lot of dodge, which is going to be a bit of a problem.
Strip tackle wrestle is...
Yeah, there's a good amount of wrestle on the or there's a good amount of tackle on the rats, so that does help. The Wood Elves, I assume, do not have any sure hands.
No,
usually don't.
Well, it's going to be an Agi matchup versus a speed matchup, I guess, right? The Wood Elves have the Agi advantage, and the rats have the movement advantage. I don't think the tree is going to be that useful here.
No.
And Arthur Colby is going to be a monster. Polly Gray is going to be actually really annoying because he's strength 4 strip, or strength 4 sure hands, I mean. So the strip ball of the Wood Elves don't really matter. I mean,
Wood Elves don't have strip ball, I don't think.
That's true, they don't. But the strength 4 is going to be a bit of, like, it's always going to be uphill basically for Walnut, despite it being a 2+.
I think I want to give this to the rats.
So do I. Fashion Lizzies and Hornstars. So we've got the kill chaos, which is kind of what you want against lizards, honestly, because that's how they're gonna win, is removing Saurus. If you can remove Saurus, you'll do well. There's a lot of Claw Mighty Blow lying around here.
This is the top of the league lizards.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna have some inducements, I think. 1410 versus Chaos at 1700 something, 1710, so 300k. That's Slibbly and Babe.
Yeah, this is going to come down a lot to if Claw Mighty Blow fires, I think, right? There's a lot of Claw Mighty Blow on the Chaos team, and the Chaos will win if they just remove a bunch of Saurus, but they have to win to remove a bunch of Saurus. If they don't, they will lose, right? Like
Control matchup, yeah.
It comes down really to like turn 1 to 5 and how many Saurus you remove. So there's going to be a bit of dice praying involved here, I think.
Monster Good is a perfect skink hunter.
That is true. He's a very good skink hunter. So I think this is the point where we start to look at the like league table as part of our influence and decisions instead of just looking at straight up teams. Glomar obviously doing really well, top of the table. I think I'm going to back him for this because he's I think he'll continue to do very well. But you know, the Chaos can win this if the first few turns go really well for them and they remove some Saurus. Like that's the big scary thing for the lizards. But I think the results so far speak for themselves in that Lamar clearly knows what he's doing with lizards, so I think I'll let that influence me a little bit here.
I think if there's a team that can steal a win, it's this Chaos team.
Very likely, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think it comes down to the first few turns, and if that were, like, the only way these Chaos win is if they remove lizards. And they have the tools to do it, but if they get unlucky, they lose.
I feel like in my gut that you're right, but I'm going to back the Chaos.
Okay.
To get a contentious pick out of this.
Crypt Lords 2 and Rats Against Teen Stars. So this is the Gross Skaven team of Razzlestorm. 2 Claw Mighty Blow.
Lords 2 is the Necromantic team.
It is.
With the gross werewolves that will not be terribly useful against rats.
Hello.
Claw, not do it.
I am not going to pronounce that very well. Lalzot, maybe?
Yeah.
Hello.
Lalzot, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so there is the Claw Mighty Blow of the Necro. And there's the big deal, though, I think, is that there's no sure hands, right?
Well, Cabin Boy Tom is probably going to pick up sure hands.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would absolutely.
Failing to pick that up here would be suicide. But I still think that I favor the rats most of the time in this matchup. The Claw Mighty Blow does a lot of work against, like if you can get a fleshy out, suddenly that's a huge amount of strength disadvantage with the Necro.
How much tackle do the Necro have? And is any of it on the wolves? No.
No.
Yeah, I think I want to go rats, but it's certainly going to be hard. It's not going to be easy for the rats. Cabin Boy Tom is basically an anti-gutter runner player. If he picks up sure hands, he's going to be so hard to get the ball off of. But at that point, it becomes less do the annoying cage dive thing that rats will do, and becomes more pick a player to murder every turn, and then just wait until you get a good opportunity to strip the ball, and then take it then.
Yep, exactly.
This just got to be careful, but I think if he is careful, he wins it. One Punch Ogre and Reality Kings. Oh god, like every fiber in my body says pick Reality Kings, because they're just going to annihilate the ogres, I think. But I have to back Gypsy Prince. I always have to back Gypsy Prince. I said I would. I'm gonna do it.
Ben's faith has been tested, and he has not been found wanting.
No, I have faith in Gypsy Prince and his ogres.
I predict the Kislev.
One of these days I'm going to be lucky, or Gypsy Prince is going to be lucky, and like something ludicrous.
I thought it was last week. I thought he had a good shot against that Undead team. Mordheim Cryptors versus Sugar and Spikes. So Orc.
Reality Kings are taking that like 90% of the time, but I want Gypsy Prince to win so bad that I'm gonna go for it.
Oh yeah, you get inducements.
7 ogres.
Get some fucking rerolls. Don't pick. What's the 7th ogre? Bertha.
I think Bertha. Well, you can also get more. You can have 8 ogres technically. Or can you get Brick? Can you get 9 ogres as ogres? Can you also get Brick? Blood Bowl star players. I always have to look up the list. They can get Bertha, and they can get Brick. Yeah, so they can get both. You could technically have 9 ogres on an ogre team, but that would involve like 1,000 TV in. And if you already have 6 ogres, you're probably not 1,000 TV down.
You can do 6 ogres and 1,000 TV. So all you need to do is fight the Kislev team with a rookie, no reroll 6 ogre team, and then take only star players as inducements.
Take Bertha, Big Fist, Brickfarth, and Morg.
When I played Yup Cup, he took Bertha, and Bertha was effectively a player for my team because she just failed everything he attempted to do. Anyway,
yeah, Brick is 290, and he's a good option. He's a good throw teammate. Like he's got strong arm,
and he comes with a goblin.
And he comes with a free goblin, so it's 2 players for the price of 1, basically. And that goblin is Agi 4, if I recall correctly. So he's a really good throw teammate option.
So this is the pretty beefy orc team, the one with the quite a bit more developed orc team, actually, than the one that's at the top of the table. Sugar and Spikes by Weeknight Warriors versus the Mordheim Cryptors, which are, I believe, an undead team. Yeah, Dr. Spagooters.
It's Dr. Spagooters.
The really lean undead team.
So he's missing the guard ghoul for this one, so he's going to have only one guard ghoul, but he has guard on a white and a mummy, and this is Orcs? I can't find the Orcs. Where are they?
Yeah, so the Orcs should beat the living.
Oh, Sugar and Spikes, yeah.
That's a lot of guard, a lot of mighty blow that the Undead are going to be facing.
And Time is a very good ghoul hunter, and we're going to be missing some ghouls on the Undead team, I think.
Yeah, they're missing the Blodge guard ghoul.
Yeah, so the sidestep movement one and the wrestle one are both pretty vulnerable to that mighty blow piling on tackle guy. The Undead are going to get a boatload of inducements, though. What, 300k basically? Which isn't insignificant. And with that movement ghoul, Wizard is not really that, or is pretty useful. Can we get Count Luther? I don't think we can get Luther, can we? 14. No, he's 390, but he is good.
He's a stat up vampire with no bloodthirst. So.
And also sidestep, yeah. Hack and slash, fearless, rare, nope, also too expensive. Setek, we can get Setek, and Setek is a good player.
Is he the strength 6 break tackle?
No, he's the strength 4 break tackle juggernaut strip ball, but the strip ball doesn't help that much against the Orcs. But the strength 4 is useful, and so is the juggernaut.
Alright, Ben, call it. You need to go to bed.
I do. Orcs. Stump Force and Yield Guard. So we have Nurgle and Dwarves.
Yeah, well, doesn't usually go very well for the Dwarves. Though this is a punchier Dwarf team.
And it's a not
very punchy Nurgle team. I mean, I kind of want to give this to the Nurgle. Or, I mean, the Dwarves, I should say.
I was going to say that, too. There's one scary Nurgle warrior with Claw Mighty Blow for the Nurgle. But if you can take him out, then the Nurgle or the Orcs or the Dwarves, God, I'm tired, have a really good shout at this, and they've got the Death Roller, which is actually useful with all that strength, and they're going to outguard the Nurgle to make up for the strength as well, pretty hardcore. With 2
Death Roller, I pick the Death Roller.
Sure, I pick the Death Roller. I like it.
And Nurgle can't really quick score to take the bribe away, so this looks pretty good for Dwarves.
Yeah, either the Nurgle are probably going to end up, if Nurgle go on offense, they're probably going to end up scoring on turn 8, and then you have the Death Roller anyway. You go first. You have the Death Roller for 8 turns, and turns out Strength 7 Mighty Blow block is going to do work on Pestigores and Rotters, and potentially even. Makes it very easy to block down the Nurgle warriors as well. So let's go Dwarves. Needs a bit more Claw Mighty Blow, I think, or maybe a bit more guard to take on the Dwarves as the Nurgle. So that's all of those predictions, I guess. So let's bring up the dual screen. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That's going to be us for this week. We are back to our regularly scheduled reviews after the holidays, so Tuesday again next week. Next week, we'll be taking a look at some games, so feel free to give us a poke if you think your game was particularly interesting, and we will be watching them. Otherwise, we will pick mostly at random, but prefer teams that we haven't seen yet. And feel free, once again, to poke us as well if you have a game scheduled that you would like cast, because we will try our best to cast games live from our division, because it's certainly fun, but depends on when I'm available, basically. And we weren't really able to do it over the holiday break because I was incredibly busy.
I was so busy. I was so free. And
yeah, I had 1 day off. Yesterday and today, basically, were what I had. Cool. I'm going to go to bed because I have to go back to work tomorrow. Yay.
Poor bastard.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll see you in a week. Until then, I'm in Steakmittens.
And I'm Shadorra.
And we'll see you next time.